Hi everyone, and welcome back to the Shirley Show. Those disclaimers have been in every single video up until this point through February, so if you've been sticking around through these, welcome back. You know the drill. If you're new, I have been posting in February every single day of the month, every single day of February, and this is not my normal schedule. I am wearing a Christmas shirt right now because I was too lazy to change out of it, and it's comfortable, and I'm recording this in January right now. So I am gonna wear the Christmas shirts for a little bit longer. And basically once February is up, which is soon, I will be going back to my normal posting schedule. And at this point in time, it is January and I don't know how these videos are doing. Let me turn on my warmers real quick. I don't know how posting every day is going right now and if there's like a better day for me to post. As of right now, my scheduled videos will start going back up regularly as per my normal schedule on March 6th, which is the first Friday of March. But if there's a better day, I'll reschedule and shift stuff around. So with all of that said, let's get into this video. As you can tell from the title and the thumbnail, I listened to the OG Broadway cast recording of The Music Man. I could not find any video recording of it, which kind of a bummer, but these are my thoughts. I listened to it. I didn't want to get any copyright infringement, so that's why I'm not playing any of it. But I am someone who grew up on the 1962 movie, and prior to this I hadn't actually listened to the OG cast recording for the musical. But something I've always said is that the 1962 movie is the only movie or just in general adaptation of the original musical that I will watch, even though I haven't watched the original musical. But at this point, now that I've listened to it, I still stand by that I will not be watching any other adaptations aside from the 1962 movie. And as much as I have enjoyed Kristen Chenoweth's other roles, like her and Matthew Broderick just do not work together in that film. They do not mesh together. They have no chemistry. The casting was okay. I mean, I haven't actually watched it, but from clips I've seen, the casting of the Kristen Chenoweth and Matthew Broderick one, let me see when that one was. Let me see what year that one was, because that was recent. One moment while I look this up. Oh, that was 2003, so that was a little over 20 years ago. Yeah, like, they had very little chemistry. Overall, the casting was okay, and I didn't mind them from clips I've seen. I didn't mind them in the individual roles. It's just together, no chemistry, and it just did not work. So I'm not going to watch that in its entirety, and I'm definitely not watching the recent Broadway comeback of it with, I had his name and then I forgot it, Hugh Jackman. I'm not watching that, especially after the Greatest Showman debacle. The music from The Greatest Showman is good. It's just P.T. Barnum was an asshole in real life, and Hugh Jackman pushed for the musical to be made about an asshole. So I'm not supporting Hugh Jackman. So those are my thoughts. And just also with Hugh Jackman specifically, with like the whole thing about him and Sutton Foster developing a romance on set for The Music Man Broadway. I'm sorry, you two are supposed to be professionals. Anyway, I'm not talking about that. So basically, I really enjoyed the original Broadway cast listening to the soundtrack. I have it on my phone and I have a playlist of that and the 1962 movie. And honestly, if it's not Robert Preston, like, it's not gonna work. And Robert Preston was the original Harold Hill in the musical, and he reprised his role for the 1962 movie. And Pert Kelton also reprised her role as Widow Peru, Ma Peru, Marion's mother. And honestly, going based off of sound, I really did like Marion. I totally blanked on her name for a minute. I really did like the voice for Marion, the actress for Marion. She was really good. I really like the whole cast. I did kind of miss Hermione Gringold as Mrs. Shen, and the little sidetrack. But I have a really good close friend, and she goes to a lot of estate sales. And I had seen this at one of the places she went to, and it's the Rubaiyat of Omar Khayyam. And 99% of why I got this was because of the scene in the 1962 movie where we first see Mrs. Shen, and she's going to the library and she's returning, not this edition, but she's returning the Rubaiyat of Omar Khayyam, and it's like she's so flabbergasted about it because it's a smutty book. So that was like 99% of why I got that, because I was like, oh, I'm gonna get that. But basically, I don't want to compare and contrast because they're both their individual things, the original Broadway cast, the original Broadway musical, and then the movie. But because I did mainly grow up on the movie musical, I did want to kind of compare and contrast a little bit. And I do have this down below in the description, but I am going to be explaining a little bit more. So in the, like, I have it as like what I prefer. For the original musical, some of the songs definitely have a little bit more fanfare and flair, which I did like in the Overture / Rock Island. That was fun. The cast, from what I can hear, again, this is just going based off of the soundtrack alone, they did have a lot of chemistry, which I always appreciate, because you can tell when like they have chemistry, but they're also professional. And the third point, it was professional sounding, and they're all doing their roles very well. What I do prefer a little bit more from the 1962 movie, but that's again because I grew up on that one, and that's what I know and where my baseline is at for The Music Man. So the ambient sounds that go along with a lot of the songs, I was missing that from the soundtrack, but again, that was the soundtrack, so they might have had more ambient sounds for the actual Broadway production. But one example is like the Overture Rock Island, like the initial song, and they're singing and then they start talking about Harold Hill or singing about Harold Hill. Like the music in, which is another reason why I refuse to watch the 2003 one, that initial song when you're getting kind of introduced to who Harold Hill is, the music for the 1962 movie and the song and the lyrics and the way it plays out, it's going along with the sounds of the train, like with the train whistles, with the steam, with the train, with the wheels on the track. But you don't get that in the 2003 movie, and that was like one of the things that I kind of missed from the Broadway production, like the soundtrack. But again, they could have done that with Broadway production or done something similar. But the ambient sounds. So, and also some of the cast from the movie. So Buddy Hackett, who's the voice of Scuttle in Little Mermaid, and then he was I'm remembering the original, his Marcellus Wash. Buddy Hackett music. Okay. character. Marcellus Washburn. Oh, it is Marcellus Washburn. Okay. Okay, so that is his name, Marcellus. Okay, so Buddy Hackett as Marcellus, and then Hermione Gringold, who I already mentioned, as Mrs. Shin. Shirley Jones as Marianne. So those were like some of my highlights. And then also, it kind of seemed, again, this is just going based off the soundtrack, so this could have been a studio recording of sorts or something akin to that, and not direct from the Broadway soundtrack. But Robert Preston seemed quite a bit more comfortable in the role in the movie, and it's probably because he had time after being on the Broadway for so long that he got comfortable with his role, and you can really see that in the movie, in my opinion, and that's something like that I like. So what I like about both, Robert Preston, obviously, Pert Kelton, who reprises his role as Mama, and then the Buffalo Bills, the cast chemistry for both. I know I mentioned it with the OG musical, but the cast chemistry for both is just perfection. And then also, like, they're both the same, and they're the same story, they're kind of the same beats, but the movie does have some other little notes and extra little details, you know, which I appreciated. So that is my thoughts. I really wish I could have done a watch and react, but as I said, I couldn't find anything, and the soundtrack is better than nothing, so I'm probably going to be listening to it for quite a bit longer. So thank you all for watching. I know this is a shorter video, so thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all in my next video.